Chapter 891, Distorting the Truth. What? All the immortal zombies heard Fang Yuan's words and were shocked. You, bullshit. Bo Dan felt a strong sense of humiliation as he burst into anger. Shark Demon squinted. He looked at Bo Dan and Fang Yuan. His expression turned dark. What is going on? Bo Dan was gritting his teeth from anger. He said, Lord Shark Demon, I am willing to use my years of reputation as a guarantee. There are no issues with my action just now. This Xing Xiangzi might look like a gentleman. Bo Dan pointed at Fang Yuan. But he is a small-minded scoundrel that is jealous of other people's capabilities. He must have seen my superior performance and decided to slander me. Lord Shark Demon and everyone else, please see the truth. I am most clear about Brother Xing Xiang's abilities. In my opinion, you are the scoundrel. Tai Bai Yunsheng was extremely angry. He retorted immediately. All of you, shut up. Seeing that the situation was going out of control, Shark Demon shouted. He turned to Fang Yuan. Xing Xiangzi, what do you have to say? Fang Yuan smiled bitterly. I have nothing to say. Seeing this attitude, Su Bai Man's eyebrows raised. But Fang Yuan continued. I have a question, however, for Sir Bo Dan. Fang Yuan was not angry. He had a gentlemanly demeanor. When compared to Bo Dan's hysteric and frenzied state, there was a clear contrast. Bo Dan saw Fang Yuan's demeanor and felt even more jealousy and hatred. He snorted. What question do you have? Fang Yuan smiled lightly. He stared at Bo Dan as he tried to incite him. If I ask you, would you dare to answer the truth? Bo Dan gritted his teeth. He knew that this was Fang Yuan's trap, but he could no longer back down now. He forced the words out of his throat. Go ahead and ask. Fang Yuan sighed. He showed a look of, I do not want to have conflict with people, yet people come and find trouble with me, he said. I will ask you, how many hidden goo worms are there now in this freezing rain-frozen earth battlefield killer move? Shark Demon and the others looked tightly at Bo Dan. Bo Dan's heart jumped. He opened his mouth and wanted to speak, but he only managed to stretch out his tongue and lick his lips. Fang Yuan's question was like a dagger stabbing directly into Bo Dan's heart. Bo Dan had only found one spot where there were hidden goo worms. After deducing, he found that there were no issues and acted to destroy the goo worm. Now that this goo worm was removed, there would definitely be new flaws that were not there before forming. But if Bo Dan wanted to deduce the location of more hidden goo worms, he would need time to beat. Bo Dan had thought of lying, but at the next moment, he denied this stupid idea, because this was very easy to verify that if he said that an area had hidden goo worms, he could be told to simply attack it to show everyone. Actions speak louder than words. Bo Dan was speechless. He clenched his fists subconsciously. But soon, he understood that he could not lie. He loudly responded. If you want to seek help from me, I will satisfy you. Give me some time. I will advise you after I finish deducing. Goo immortals all had their own shrewdness. After hearing these words, they remained emotionless in appearance, but they were shaking their heads internally. Bo Dan's pathetic state was imprinted in everyone's minds. These goo immortals were not idiots, of course. They understood that Bo Dan spoke without enough confidence. Xing Xiangzi had exposed Bo Dan simply through a question. Tai Bai Yunsheng looked at Bo Dan with some pity. He sighed internally. With just your ability, you want to compete with Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan knew that Bo Dan would reply like this. He laughed heartily. Sir Bo Dan must have deduced only one flaw. But this hidden goo worm is only a trap. If you continue your deduction and have more patience, you will find more flaws and hidden goo worms. That way, you might begin to understand how rash your actions were. Oh, Bo Dan's lips twitched. He had thought of a reply. He tried to trouble Fang Yuan. Then tell everyone how inappropriate my actions were? How did I cause more trouble? What kind of trap was this flaw? Haha, you should answer properly. Lady Su Bai Man has a lie detection method. This flaw was naturally not a trap. Fang Yuan could not answer him. But Fang Yuan had prepared his response as well. He laughed. My wisdom path inheritance is unique. How can I leak it here? Bo Dan, you made a good scheme. You want to stealthily learn my wisdom path techniques. Utter bullshit. Bo Dan flew into rage. Bo Dan spoke rudely. But Fang Yuan was not unhappy. He looked at Shark Demon. Shark Demon was frowning deeply. He was an observer, watching Fang Yuan and Bo Dan argue their way out. Fang Yuan understood that Shark Demon was still biased towards Bo Dan from this one glance. This was nothing strange. Shark Demon and Bo Dan were members of Zombie Alliance. They had worked together many times and had spent much time together. As the saying goes, an acquaintance may not sow discord among friends. This was only the first time Fang Yuan had met Shark Demon. He was a stranger. Bo Dan and Shark Demon had a much closer relationship. Fang Yuan laughed. His expression changed as he looked at Bo Dan with contempt. He said disdainfully, "Foolish clown, I will give you a lesson today. Watch closely." Saying so, Fang Yuan's fingers moved like swords, drawing lines in the air. Starlight flew out of his fingertips. They stopped in the air, being either close or far away from him. Here, and all these other places, they have hidden mortal goo. If you do not believe me, you can try to attack them yourselves. For example, this point needs a fire path attack to destroy the goo worm. That point needs an ice path technique to be exposed before using lightning to destroy the goo worm. And for this point, if you want to destroy the mortal goo, you have to wait until the next wave to destroy it. Fang Yuan spoke quickly as the starlight specks floated in the air. There were 8 or 9 of them. The goo immortals were all astute. Fang Yuan told them the locations of the hidden goo worms and the methods to destroy them in detail. He was obviously not afraid of them giving it a try. Such intense confidence made them believe him without any doubts. Bo Dan stared with wide-opened eyes. He did not know how to rebuke him. He got agitated. He wanted to take action. "I want to see if your words are true." "Wait." Fang Yuan held out his hand, stopping Bo Dan could not longer back out of this. He showed intense surprise and joy upon hearing that. He showed a cold smile. "Why? Xingxiangzi, are you afraid?" Fang Yuan sighed, giving Bo Dan a glance. He was like an adult looking at a mischievous child. Bo Dan almost jumped in anger. Fang Yuan spoke. "There are hidden goo worms here indeed. I am not afraid of anyone probing it. But these areas cannot be damaged. Just like what you did earlier. These are traps that are interconnected. If they are destroyed, it would affect the entire battlefield killer move. Not only would my wisdom path deductions become completely obsolete, I would even have to restart from scratch. All these areas that I pointed out have troublesome connections. I am unable to deduce which points are safe and which are not." After saying that, Fang Yuan turned to the immortal zombie Shark Demon, bowing. "Lord Shark Demon, I am truly sorry. This is because I am not good enough." Seeing Fang Yuan's humble attitude, it was like a subtle mockery. Bo Dan's eyelids were twitching. He wanted to jump and pull out all of Fang Yuan's white beard, tear his blue robe apart, step on him, and grind Fang Yuan's clean, pinkish face into the dirty soil. But he could not do that, because Shark Demon was returning the bow to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had just spoken and bowed to Shark Demon. From Shark Demon's perspective, he was the leader of them. He had to have manners. Furthermore, Xingxiangzi was Tai by Yunsheng's good friend. He had introduced the former. Now that Xingxiangzi was bowing to Shark Demon, how could Shark Demon not bow back? Zombie Alliance was in the righteous path. Even though the members came from everywhere and a large portion were from the demonic path, once they entered Zombie Alliance, they would have to act like proper members of the righteous path and follow the rules. Also, after hearing their conversation, Shark Demon had a grasp of the situation. In his opinion, Xingxiangzi's wisdom path attainment was higher than Bo Dan. Such a talent was needed in his future attempts to take down Yulu Blessed Land. He had to bow in return as courtesy. After that, Shark Demon spoke in a very polite tone. "I am deeply enlightened by Brother Xingxiang's words. I wonder how we should proceed from here." Shark Demon was at rank 7. Even though he was an immortal zombie, he was a famous expert in Eastern Sea. He took the initiative to call Xingxiangzi brother. In everyone's opinion, Shark Demon's attitude was truly very gentle. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly. "It is all because of my low ability. Earlier I had a hint of inspiration and did not want to destroy that goo worm as it would cause my hard work to go to waste. I was anxious and spoke without consideration." Sigh. The saying goes, a strong dragon cannot suppress a local snake. I am just a weak snake, while everyone here are expert dragons. Bo Dan was so angry he was breathing roughly. His eyes were bloodshot. Fang Yuan's words were humble. All of his words were in consideration of Bo Dan's face. but he actually slapped Bo Dan loudly countless times. This time, however, Bo Dan did not retort. He was extremely angry, but he was also feeling uncertain. His wisdom path inheritance was very incomplete. It was far inferior to Fang Yuan's. Since Fang Yuan could expose so many flaws here, Bo Dan also knew that he could not match Fang Yuan. He just refused to admit the truth. Don't tell me. Did I really make a mistake? This mortal goo was really a trap, just like what that damned Xing Xiangzi said. Poor Bo Dan. He was framed by Fang Yuan, but even he himself had fallen into self-doubt. Fang Yuan's peripheral vision was on Bo Dan. He observed all his expressions and reactions. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly and humbly on the outside, but he was laughing coldly internally. He had wanted to retreat long ago. The next wave of attacks would be extremely powerful. If they are careless, some of these goo immortals might die. Even if they could endure it, their immortal essence expenditure would definitely be severe. Such severe loss would make the goo immortals feel severe distress. But Fang Yuan had no way of dismantling this battlefield killer move. By then, the goo immortals would have wasted so many resources. Yet Fang Yuan, who was their hope, would make no progress. It was easy to imagine how unhappy they would be with him. Thus, Fang Yuan's humbleness was not just to mock Bo Dan on purpose. He was trying to plant a seed in these immortals' minds. We have to retreat for sure, but the way we retreat is the question. Fang Yuan, after thinking up to this moment, glanced at Bo Dan before speaking to Shark Demon. There is little time until the next wave of attacks. With this change, my earlier efforts have gone to waste. I can only restart and try again, but I will not lie, there is little hope of success. I need even more time than before. Most importantly, this wave of attacks will be extremely powerful. In my opinion, we should retreat now. The immortals were not willing to give up now. They had already reached this step, Shark Demon said. I hope Brother Xingxiang will give it a try. Thus, Fang Yuan pretended to sit in the air as he shut his eyes. Soon, the fifth wave of attacks came. The ice needle storm rained down as dozens of snow monsters charged towards the goo immortals. The wave is much stronger as expected. Let's go? This is just the start, and it is already so tough. Bo Dan, I don't know what to say to you. Bo Dan's expression was dark. He gritted his teeth. His gaze was cold. He could feel the goo immortals looking at him. It hurt him more than the ice rain. The goo immortal's words were like whips lashing on his soul. Xing Xiangzi. Xing Xiangzi. He shouted internally, chanting this name. It was a pity that this was merely a fake name. After enduring for a while, Shark Demon saw that Fang Yuan was not making progress. His evaluation of the gains and losses this time had completely turned over. He could only squeeze out the word, retreat. Chapter 892. Alcohol and Food, Fishing for Sharks. The banquet's atmosphere was very cohesive. Even though this attack on Yu-Lu-blessed land caused everyone to end up suffering losses after they left, Shark Demon still kindly invited Tai Bai Yunsheng and Fang Yuan to his home as guests. Tai Bai Yunsheng's man, as before immortal goo, was something Shark Demon needed. Fang Yuan, who was under the identity of Xing Xiangzi, had deep wisdom path attainment. Shark Demon and Su Bai Man saw his value, especially in their attempt to take down Yu-Lu-blessed land. Thus, Shark Demon invited Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng. It was not a surprise. Shark Demon stayed in a place called Shark Sea. This was a huge sea area, being over 3 million square kilometers. This Shark Sea was of similar size to the South China Sea on Earth. That was to say, it was as if the entire South China Sea belonged to Shark Demon alone. Everything inside the sea area, countless types of sharks, seaweed and aquatic plants, the rocks on the seabed, the huge amount of sea water, all of them were Shark Demon's possession. Like in northern plains, where fertile grasslands were split up between people, in Eastern Sea, sea areas that were rich with resources were also distributed among people. Even though Shark Demon was an immortal zombie, he had immense strength. He had the ability to control this sea area. His palace was at the bottom of the sea, at the center of this Shark Sea area. During the banquet, there were all sorts of food from Eastern Sea. They were delicious and filled with the local flavors, and no matter what the intentions of both sides were. On the surface, this was a very effective banquet. There was a harmonious atmosphere. Shark Demon enjoyed his delicious wine. Even though he was an immortal zombie, with the help of goo worms, he could temporarily regain his sense of taste. Soon after, he put down his wine cup. At his will, the top of his majestic and beautiful palace turned transparent. Everyone, take a look. These are divine spear sharks. These are shattering teeth golden sharks. And over there are silver scale great treasure sharks. These are all pets that I had nurtured with much effort. Shark Demon pointed, not concealing his proud feelings at all. Fang Yuan raised his head and looked, only to see that the seawater was dark and dim. The palace lights could only shine for 10 meters of distance ahead. The underwater palace was shining in bright lights. If seen from the outside, it was like a huge, oddly shaped jewel that was emitting a warm light. Fang Yuan had his investigative killer moves. The dark seawater could not obstruct him. He soon saw the sharks that Shark Demon was referring to. The divine spear sharks moved around alone. They had a peculiar appearance. The tip of their heads were sharp. They were in the shape of long spears. Their bodies were not covered in smooth shark skin, but had a bony texture. The divine spear sharks swam around in the sea, charging around with no fear. The spear on their heads was very sharp, while not inhibiting their advancement. Everywhere they went, underwater rocks were smashed as pathways was created by them. As for the shattering teeth golden sharks, they were the most numerous. 200 to 300 formed into one group. These sharks had very small and sharp teeth. When the shattering teeth golden sharks opened their mouths, Fang Yuan could see that in their mouths, both upper and lower jaws, they had 6 rows of sharp teeth. Even though these golden sharks were carnivores, they did not prey on large fish. Instead, they were like whales. They only ate small fish and prawns. The 6 rows of teeth formed 6 tight defenses, separating the sand from fish and prawns. No matter how small the fish were, they could not escape from the golden sharks. Silver scale great treasure sharks were the largest. They would be around the sizes of small whales from Earth. This type of treasure shark lived in a family of 3 or 4. Usually, they would move about casually. When food appeared, they would move quickly and hunt. Even though the silver scale great treasure shark had a huge body, its body did not match the incredible speed it could display. Once it moved, its speed was extremely fast. It would be like a flash of silver lightning in the depths of the sea. Silver scale great treasure sharks had the most rogue nature. Instead of hunting other fish, they ate other sharks as food. Of course, if it were the stronger sharks like the divine spear sharks or shattering teeth golden sharks, the treasure sharks would not go after them if they had sufficient food. How is it, the fish that I am raising, are they all right? Shark Demon looked at how Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng were dazed. He felt incredibly pleased. More than all right. These sharks are all lively and energetic. They were raised well. This sea area has all sorts of creatures living in a well-balanced habitat. These sharks all have a lot of goo worms in them. I even saw 1 or 2 desolate beast sharks earlier. Fang Yuan said. Tai Bai Yun Sheng also sighed. He nodded. No wonder Eastern Sea is the region with the most abundant resources. This sea area already showcases a lot to me. Shark Demon raised his head slightly as he laughed. Bai Man was beside him. She smiled. Please do not praise him so much. My husband's hobby is to raise these sharks in his free time. He particularly enjoys hearing the praise of others towards these sharks. During the banquet, be it Shark Demon or Bai Man, they were much more amicable than in Lu Blessed Land. These two could differentiate work from social life. During public occasions, they had to control the situation. Thus they were stern and serious, without any hint of carelessness. Privately, they were hospitable and warm. By making jokes at times, they could make other people feel much closer to them. This couple not only had great battle strength, they also had a lot of experience in human interaction. It was no wonder they could obtain such an important mission like attacking Lu Blessed Land from Zombie Alliance after much competition. Even though Shark Demon and Bai Man had invested a lot into Lu Blessed Land, having made a huge loss already, losing a lot of their wealth. If Lu Blessed Land were to be successfully taken down, Shark Demon and Bai Man would receive 10 times or even dozens of times as much profits. Most immortal zombies would not undertake such important missions. Only Bai Man and Shark Demon, these veteran experts, had the foundation to support an immense expenditure in the early stages. Hearing the praise from Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng, Shark Demon smiled. You flatter me, huh? Actually, this sea area is only ranked 46th among the list of Eastern sea areas. Above my sea area, there is the elegant, splendorous sea area, the flourishing, bumpy sea area, and a Song Clan Gu Immortals, Song Isher's poetic emotion sea area. Both of you have not been in Eastern Sea for long. You might not have seen the 10 great sea areas in Eastern Sea. These 10 sea areas are all incredible. Rainbow Island's Rainbow Sea Area. The seawater is beautiful and in all colors, and yet the colors do not smudge. Boundless Forest Sea Area has trees that are thousands of meters tall growing under the sea. The tree crowns can penetrate the water surface, and the huge number of trees form a huge underwater forest. For the Merman Sea Area, female mermen are extremely amorous. There are countless mermen living there. They have incredible strength, being one of Eastern Sea's top 10 super forces. Tai Bai Yun Sheng heard all these as his expression froze. He sighed again. The world is vast. Nature is also vast. Eastern Sea has so many precious resources and countless talents. We can truly feel how insignificant each of us are. Merman. Fang Yuan's heart moved. He thought of a certain memory in his previous life. After eating the food, the banquet was reaching its end, Shark Demon said. Since this is the first time that both of you are here, I have prepared some small gifts. Please do accept them. This was an obvious way to improve their relationship. Fang Yuan did not reject him. He wanted to get closer to Shark Demon anyway. He showed a look of joy as he cupped his fists. Then I will thank Lord Shark Demon in advance. Shark Demon laughed heartily. He clapped. Good. I like the forthright nature of Northern Plains Gu Immortals. But for the gifts I prepared, you will have to collect them yourselves. Oh. Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng looked at each other with a sense of confusion. Su Bai Man explained while concealing her smile. Both of you might not know, my husband does not invite guests here very often. But when he does, he would gift them some sharks. The guest would need to catch the sharks themselves. As for how many and what type of sharks they get, that would be decided by the guest's ability. So that's it. Tai Bai Yunsheng and Fang Yuan realized. Please start moving. You only have 7 minutes. During this period, you need to stay inside the palace. It will be against the rules if you go out. Shark Demon said. Tai Bai Yunsheng was very interested. These sharks were in top-notch condition. They were very valuable. Even if he could not use them, he could sell them for a huge sum of immortal essence stones. Moreover, there were sharks that suited him here. Fang Yuan's was moved. He thought of something. Isn't this the famous shark fishing banquet from my previous life? In his previous life, by the time Fang Yuan came to Eastern Sea, Shark Demon and Su Bai Man had already died. The cause was unknown. This Shark Sea became someone else's possession. The Gu Immortal who occupied this place, Zhu Xingbo, was very hospitable and had a wide network of friendships. While holding a banquet, he also played this game, allowing his guests to fish for sharks in the palace. It turned out that the origin of this was Shark Demon. Gu Immortal Zhu Xingbo was only imitating him. The fishing had started. They had limited time. Fang Yuan resisted his urge to enter the sea to take a look. There were many groups of sharks swimming around freely near the underwater palace. Among these sharks, the ones with the highest value are those that Shark Demon pointed out earlier. Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. But these sharks do not suit me. Fang Yuan thought in his mind. The ones which suited him were Blood Fiend Sharks and Starmark Sharks. The former was suitable for Hu Immortal Blessed Land after the Blood Calamity. The latter suited Star Form Blessed Land. They could be raised in the most central lake. However, the quantity of these two types of sharks was far less than the Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. It was because the ferocity of the Blood Fiend Shark and Star Mark Shark was inferior to the Divine Spear Shark, Shattering Teeth Golden Shark, and Silver Scale Great Treasure Shark. This underwater palace was Shark Demon's place of residence. During normal times, when Shark Demon had the time, he would toss fresh food and cause the sharks to fight for them. As time passed, this place became the sanctuary of the sharks. The strongest shark groups would stay here. It was difficult for Fang Yuan to obtain Blood Fiend Sharks and Starmark Sharks. He was inside the underwater palace. He could not travel around and capture sharks in the water. This was only a game. Shark Demon was not generous enough to let others capture sharks in his sea area casually. Fang Yuan felt some regret. but he had to give up on the blood fiend sharks and star-marked sharks. As for the divine spear sharks, shattering teeth golden sharks, and silver scale great treasure sharks, he did not want them. After 2 months of accumulation, he already had 500 to 600 immortal essence stones. With such wealth, he did not need such a small amount. How many divine spear sharks, shattering teeth golden sharks, and silver scale great treasure sharks could be obtained in 7 minutes? Fang Yuan was not skilled in capturing beasts. Using an immortal killer move to capture beasts was too wasteful, unless he was trying to capture desolate beasts. Chapter 893, Song Clan's Song Yishur. Chapter 893, Song Clan Song Yishur. Fang Yuan quickly thought, and decided to help Tai Bai Yunsheng. Tai Bai Yunsheng wanted to capture cloudline sharks, which had a small and exquisite bodies. Not only could they move in the sea, they could also fly and survive for a long time. They were suitable for Tai Bai blessed land. However, cloudline sharks were proficient at hiding. Were it not for this, they could not have survived near the sea palace between the 3 shark groups. Tai Bai Yun Sheng's shark fishing ran into a problem at the very start. His target was cloudline sharks, but divine spear sharks, shattering teeth golden sharks, and silver scale great treasure sharks would not just look on from the side. Like smoke spreading in the sea, Tai Bai Yunsheng's methods stirred up these 3 shark groups. As far as they were concerned, this sanctuary was their joint territory, and now an anomaly appeared. Like beasts whose territories were invaded, they naturally had to teach these audacious invaders a lesson. Tai Bai Yunsheng was specialized in healing and was not proficient in fishing. These 3 shark groups caused great disturbance to him. After Fang Yuan helped, the disturbances were mostly eliminated. Tai Bai Yunsheng felt his pressure lifting and immediately sent him a grateful look. Fang Yuan smiled lightly and nodded to Tai Bai Yunsheng, not saying anything. Finally, with Fang Yuan's cooperation, Tai Bai Yunsheng was able to capture an ideal quantity of cloudline sharks. I thank both Lord Shark Demon and Lord Subai Man. Tai Bai Yunsheng had profited. Thus he stood up and bowed solemnly to the 2. You two indeed have a deep relationship. Shark Demon sighed softly. After chatting for a while, this banquet reached the end. Both guests and hosts enjoyed it to the fullest. Shark Demon personally accompanied Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng out of the sea area. They looked on until the 2 had shrunk to the size of ants in the horizons. Subai Man's gaze flashed as she suddenly spoke. Dear, what do you think of this Xing Xiangzi? Shark Demon's smile disappeared completely, and his gaze turned aloof. This person seems humble, but in fact is arrogant, and also has a lot of hidden thoughts. He is different from Tai Bai Yunsheng, and is not someone easy to deal with. He paused for a moment before continuing. Bo Dan is too useless. He was led around by Xing Xiangzi from start to finish. Bo Dan is a person on our side, but was embarrassed like that by Xing Xiangzi. Bo Dan's embarrassment caused me to lose face as well. This Xing Xiangzi did whatever he wanted since the moment he came. There is ruthlessness behind his gentle appearance. He is no kind person. If I had my previous temperament, I would have already given him a few hard slaps and taught him to be obedient. He would learn that this is Eastern Sea and not Northern Plains. Subai Man hurriedly consoled. Dear, calm your anger. This type of person with skill will naturally have arrogance. As for Bo Dan's loss of composure this time, it is also justifiable. Think of it. His private sea area has already been occupied for many years by Blazing Heaven Demoness, and she still doesn't have the intention to return it. Bo Dan recently went to beg for it, but was instead beaten badly by Blazing Heaven Demoness. Blazing Heaven Demoness is a Northern Plains immortal zombie. Thus Bo Dan naturally looks upon Northern Plains Gu immortals with anger. Moreover, he lost his private sea area and is without other means of income. He is in extremely strange circumstances. The reward from attacking Yu Lu blessed land is plentiful, and it is his best chance to save himself from poverty. However, Xing Xiangzi arrived with wisdom path methods better than his. It is unavoidable for Bo Dan to be furious for having his source of income stolen. This is a matter of great importance to him. Thus it was also unavoidable for him to lose his usual state of mind. As he heard this, Shark Demon's eyes brightened, and he looked at Subai Man with a smiling expression. Why are you suddenly speaking about Bo Dan so favorably? It must be that Bo Dan secretly sent a big gift to you, right? Subai Man covered her mouth as she laughed. I cannot hide anything from you. It is not a big gift, just a palm-sized medicine ice. Shark Demon, however, was very surprised. Although the quantity of this medicine ice is small, it is a genuine rank 8 immortal material. Where did Bo Dan find this? Heh, he is really spending a lot to protect his role. Subai Man lightly shook her head. Bo Dan doesn't seem to be eye-catching, but to be able to have this success, he isn't a simple character. Shark Demon said with a profound voice. It seems Bo Dan really wants to grasp this opportunity. He might not have much experience in this situation, but even if he is incompetent, he also has some use. Xing Xiangzi has great capability, but he is an outsider. I definitely want to bring Bo Dan, just to keep this Xing Xiangzi in check and stop him from being solely dominant in the future. If we let him be proud and insolent because of his talent, what will happen in the future? What if when we are attacking the blessed land, we are trapped by him? What will we do then? We don't understand wisdom path methods, but with Bo Dan, we can make Xing Xiangzi restrain himself and prevent him from making mischief. Subai Man put her mind at ease, gazing dreamily at this man whom she loved deeply. My husband really is most capable. Bo Dan and Xing Xiangzi are playing in your hands and won't be able to create any trouble. Ha ha ha. Dear, don't praise me so much. Fang Yuan followed Tai by Yunsheng to a nameless island. This nameless island was the home of Tai by Yunsheng previously. It was extremely crude, but because of Tai by Yunsheng, it gradually started becoming slightly famous in the circles of Eastern Sea Gu immortals. In this invasion of Yu blessed land, Shark Demon had to return in defeat after the difficult round to carry out another invasion. They needed time to prepare. Tai by Yunsheng wanted to use this free time to meet the many requests he had received in the past. One had to say that landscape as before. This time path Immortal Gu was very much sought after. Something unexpected could happen any time. There would always be some issues appearing from time to time in the sea areas the Gu immortals managed. Landscape as before had outstanding effects in this aspect and showed instant results. Fang Yuan, how about coming together with me? We can take care of each other on one hand, and I can also introduce you to others. With this trip, you can also get familiar with the nearby Gu immortals. Tai by Yunsheng suggested. This suggestion was very appropriate, but Fang Yuan already had a plan, as he said to Tai by Yunsheng with a wry smile. Old Bai, it is better if you don't let others know our relation as much as possible, because the thing I am about to do might very well implicate you. Wasn't this trip to get a share of Yu blessed land, then join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance? Tai by Yunsheng felt something wrong from Fang Yuan's tone. It seemed like he was going to create trouble. With regards to Fang Yuan's ability to create trouble, Tai by Yunsheng had a deep impression of it. The setup in Imperial Court Blessed Land, an 88 True Yang building by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was destroyed because of Fang Yuan. Moreover, this was accomplished when Fang Yuan had still been immortal. Now, he was an immortal zombie. This ability to create trouble had definitely increased sharply. Fang Yuan, you shouldn't act recklessly. What are you planning? Tai by Yunsheng worriedly looked at Fang Yuan. My good senior brother, don't worry. I am doing this to join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance. Fang Yuan consoled. Don't call me senior brother. A skilled person is a teacher. I still don't have enough qualifications to be your senior brother. Tai by Yunsheng hurriedly shook his hand, worriedly inquiring about the details. Fang Yuan revealed a little. Old Bai, have you thought about how inappropriate it is for me to join Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance? Tai by Yunsheng blinked. Although you are under the identity of a Northern Plains Gu immortal, Eastern Sea has had cases of Gu immortals of other regions joining their local forces. Moreover, this Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance is the main headquarters of the zombie alliances over all 5 regions. It is an enormous force. Other Zombie Alliance branches don't recruit living Gu immortals, but Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance recruits them. Your identity won't pose a problem. Fang Yuan shook his head. Those like Bo Dan who have joined Zombie Alliance are those who are living a miserable life and can barely scrape by. These type of people are at the bottom layer among Gu immortals. Their positions in Zombie Alliance are even lower than immortal zombies. But I, Xing Xiangzi, am different. Not mentioning my immortal Gu, I have strong wisdom path methods which can deduce the battlefield killer move in Yu blessed land. People like me, No matter how we live, we are not likely to join Zombie Alliance. As long as I reveal just a slight intent to do so, I believe other righteous path forces would welcome me warmly. It is reasonable. Tai Bai Yunxing nodded. Joining these forces means losing freedom. Especially to foreign Gu immortals like us, the monitoring and restrictions are much more strict. Otherwise, why would there be so many lone cultivators? So, for a Gu immortal like me to join Zombie Alliance, not only should it be my own wish, but it also requires a strong external pressure. Fang Yuan nodded. Tai Bai Yunxing's eyes shined brightly as he asked, "What pressure?" Fang Yuan smiled before lightly asking a question that made Tai Bai Yunxing pale. Which is the closest superforce from here? Song clan was a colossus that had occupied Eastern Sea for hundreds of years. This clan was an existence that was in the top 10 even among the many superforces in Eastern Sea. The official, publicly known number of Gu immortals in the clan was 18. Song clan's first supreme elder, Song Chi Yuan, had already been rank 8 for many years. His battle strength was unfathomable. Song Chi Yuan's son, Song Diaoling, was a rank 7 Gu immortal with outstanding talent. He was cultured and elegant, and had been publicly recognized as the successor for Song clan's leadership. But unfortunately, over 10 years ago, Song Diaoling was schemed against and died, leaving behind a daughter. The daughter's surname was naturally Song, and her given name was Yishur. She was the only descendant left of Song Chi Yuan's bloodline. Since a young age, Song Yishur was pampered by her grandfather Song Chi Yuan. In any world, some people are naturally born with a silver spoon in their mouths that in the world where most people were struggling to survive, and most Gu immortals constantly on their guard, preparing to undergo their next tribulations and calamities, rushing around everywhere to raise their strength and cultivation. Song Yishur was just sitting back and enjoying life. All her cultivation resources provided by Song Chi Yuan. She only needed to say the word and her grandfather, Song Chi Yuan, would make sure they were fulfilled. When Song Yishur underwent immortal ascension, Song Chi Yuan personally protected her. After advancing to a rank 6 Gu immortal, Song Chi Yuan sent his granddaughter a big gift. A sea area with an area of 4 million square kilometers. It was slightly larger than the South China Sea on Earth. Not only this sea area was also extremely rich in resources and was named the Poetic Emotion Sea Area. In the rankings of Eastern Sea, it was ranked above Shark Demon's Shark Sea. Fang Yuan explored and, in combination with his previous life's memories, made his plan center around this Song Yishur. Chapter 894. Purposely Getting Discovered. After plotting in secret for half a month, Fang Yuan arrived on a small island. Eastern Sea had many small islands. There were millions, or even tens of millions of the islands that Fang Yuan had arrived at. Most small islands were uninhabited islands, but this small island actually had humans. There were 3 fishing villages on the island. The strongest cultivator was only rank 3. Fang Yuan hid his figure. Under the blazing sun, he strolled into a nearby fishing village like it was a normal thing to do. The surrounding people were mostly ordinary mortals. There was occasionally a Gu master or 2 on the scene. They were either rank 1 or 2, and were very well respected by the mortals around them. Fang Yuan's current methods were much stronger than the time when he was in southern border. He moved through the entire village 2 or 3 times, but no one could discover him. This should be Li Clan village. Fang Yuan observed it for a while. Combined with his previous life's memories, he verified that this was the place. This small fishing village was obviously not Li Clan village, but in his previous life, there was a mystical and interesting Gu immortal who emerged from this place. He was called Li Xiao Yao. This fishing village was renamed by him to Li Clan village. Of course, right now, Li Xiao Yao was yet to be born. According to his previous life's memories, Li Xiao Yao would be born in around 200 years. After confirming the status of this fishing village, Fang Yuan left and arrived at a cliff beside the sea. There were countless nests in the cliff. There were hundreds, thousands of birds resting here. They had a strong territorial awareness. Once a Gu master, or a large life form comes and makes the birds feel threatened, they would assault the invaders together. Thus, few people in the village came to this place. Occasionally, there were Gu masters who came to harvest some medicinal herbs or steal some bird eggs. These birds were very diverse. They were a congregation of over 10 different hundred beast groups. They were not the same types of birds that on this tiny island. There were human goo masters, but they were not at the dominant position in this environment. According to the biography of Li Xiaoyao, when Li Xiaoyao was still a child, he was often bullied by children who were older than him. He had to hide here out of necessity. Here, he found a hidden cave by accident. He treated this cave as his secret base. This cliff had all sorts of holes and caves. There was a large number of them. It was obviously very difficult to locate the cave that Li Xiaoyao found. However, since there are bird groups here, Li Xiaoyao could not have gone deep inside. His cave should be at the outer periphery. Fang Yuan was prepared amply. He searched for a while and chose 100 targets initially. By the time it was noon, and the sun started to descend towards the west, Fang Yuan found his true target. This hole was not big, but even with Xing Xiangzi's current size, he could not enter. Not to mention Fang Yuan's original 8-arm immortal zombie body. Thankfully, he had changed form immortal goo. Fang Yuan shrunk his body and squeezed inside. The cave was moist. By the evening, there was weak lingering sunlight penetrating into it. After moving in the cave for a short while, Fang Yuan came to the deepest part of this cave. The space here was extremely wide. The sea winds outside the cliff blew into the small holes of the cave. They created a whistling sound of moving wind. Fang Yuan could not help but think of the biography of Li Xiaoyao inside. It wrote about Li Xiaoyao's childhood. When he was often bullied, he would hide inside this cave and sob quietly as he listened to the whistling sound of the wind. This situation continued for a long time, until one day, fate changed for him as Li Xiaoyao's legendary tale began. This change in fate was the small hole in a corner of the cave. Once when Li Xiaoyao was hiding here, he leaned on a corner as he rested. Suddenly, the cave collapsed as he fell, directly into a deep part of the cliff, and he got swept away by the currents in the sea. This trip, Fang Yuan was trying to replicate Li Xiaoyao's fortuitous encounter in his previous life. This cliff was like an ant's den. The inside had numerous tunnels and different caves, as if there was a drill that moved in it. 6 hours later, Fang Yuan found the actual route that he broke the hole in the cave as he moved into it. When he entered the interior of the cliff, he fell rapidly. It was pure darkness and moisture. There were all sorts of small life forms like snakes. The largest animal here was a type of lizard, having the size of a normal cat. All these could not obstruct Fang Yuan. He quickly got to the bottom of the cliff. As the sound of waves got louder, at the bottom of the cliff, there was a huge spiral of seawater. This was the unique undercurrent phenomenon of Eastern Sea. The seawater in the spiral moved rapidly. There were abundant water vapor, and it resembled a giant monster's mouth. Fang Yuan willed, and several goo worms flew out, stopping here and leaving a marking. Next, he dived into the spiral with a loud sound. Once he was in the spiral, a formless force surrounded his body. Even with Fang Yuan's incredible strength, he felt a sense of helplessness as he was captured by the seawater. Fang Yuan did not struggle. Instead, he allowed this undercurrent to carry him elsewhere. This undercurrent was like a formless dragon or python. It created a tunnel of water at the bottom of the sea. The fish groups at the bottom of the sea would swim away from it. Even seaweed and aquatic plants did not grow in their path. Because they could not grow, they could not endure the long-term dragging force of the undercurrents. Fang Yuan followed this undercurrent as he moved quickly. His current speed was incredible fast. Even ordinary movement immortal killer moves could not match his speed. This was a specialty of the sea's undercurrents. In Eastern Sea, there was a type of precious map. The map did not record the islands, nor the surface of the sea. It included the undercurrents in the sea. Gushes of undercurrents interweaved under the sea. They formed into a natural route for transportation of goods. In Eastern Sea, some super forces had underwater caravans. These caravans made use of goo worms to go deep into the sea and use the undercurrents to move rapidly. In a short time, they could travel for 10,000 li, or even 100,000 li, to engage in trade. After about 15 minutes, Fang Yuan emerged from the other end of this undercurrent. The endpoint was just like the starting point. It was also a huge seawater spiral. Fang Yuan jumped out of the spiral. What he saw was a sea of red. The intense hot air assaulted him. This was an underwater volcano. Fang Yuan was currently partway up this underwater volcano. In the middle of the volcano, there was no seawater entering the bottom of the volcano. Molten magma gushed out from the deep parts of the sea trench, causing countless lives to perish. And at the top of the volcano, there was a natural underwater hot spring. Fang Yuan's objective was the underwater hot spring at the top of the volcano, but Fang Yuan made an estimation. It was not time yet. He decided to explore the place to spend the time. The lower he went, the hotter it was. It was pure red in front of him. A type of fire lizard entered Fang Yuan's detection range. This lizard had shiny, smooth scales. It extended its tongue as it ate flying bugs as food. This type of flying insect originated from the bottom of the volcano, inside the moving molten magma river. In the magma river, there were bubbles bursting at times as small insects flew out from within. The fire lizard sprawled on the side of the magma river. Seeing that the flying insects had flown out, its tongue shot out at lightning speed as it captured these bugs. It retracted its tongue and swallowed its food. Fang Yuan observed such a unique habitat for a long time. Nature was really mysterious. It was displayed in front of Fang Yuan right now. Fang Yuan observed the fire lizards for a while before paying his attention to the flying insects. This type of insect was very unique. It was hatched in the magma river. It could endure extremely high temperatures. After a long time, Fang Yuan had a new discovery. The fire lizard did not succeed in getting its food every time. It would fail consecutively at times. A portion of the flying insects seemed to have developed some sort of latent talent from the pressure created by the fire lizard. These flying insects turned into goo worms during the process of being captured as food. Their speed increased, and they managed to evade the lizard's tongue. This was a form of advancement, like a carp jumping through the dragon's gate, turning from a fish into a dragon. Its life had been elevated in the most fundamental sense. After these flying insects became goo worms, a portion of them took the initiative to land on the lizard and become its accompanying goo, living together with the lizard. But these were all fire path mortal goo. They did not have much value to Fang Yuan. For the current Fang Yuan, the only interesting thing was this underwater volcano. With it, he had a source to produce goo worms. He could produce large numbers of fire path and water path goo worms for a long time. Mortal goo only had value to goo immortals when they were large enough in quantity. And finally, Fang Yuan observed this magma river. This magma river had other life forms. They were a type of fish. Fang Yuan did not intend to explore further. He did not want to get into trouble by jumping into the magma river either. The magma river had a high temperature. If Fang Yuan wanted to enter it, he would need to use a defensive immortal killer move. That meant that he would need to consume precious immortal essence. Nature was mighty. Many places had such dangerous environments that even goo immortals could not enter for long. Fang Yuan had been counting the time. When he felt that it was almost time, he traveled up along the volcano, past the point he was at, and towards the peak. Why now? He started becoming careful, concealing his traces on purpose. The young and beautiful Song Yishur was one of the 6 great beauties among Eastern Sea goo immortals today. Song Yishur was in a bad mood. She was being harassed again. All these male goo immortals who came from everywhere were like annoying flies. They were all around Song Yishur, chattering nonstop. They could not even be chased away. After shrugging off these irritating pursuers, Song Yishur came to her personal sea area. This sea area was called Poetic Emotion Sea. It produced a type of rank 4 wisdom path goo worm, emotion poetry goo. This goo worm could store emotions and was extremely precious in the minds of mortal goo masters. Song Yishur came to the bottom of the sea, going into her underwater volcano palace. This underwater volcano was inside Poetic Emotion Sea. It was naturally Song Yishur's property. Song Yishur was at the peak of the volcano. She had built a beautiful small palace there. She loved the hot spring inside the palace. Once in a while, she would go there and take a bath. She took off her clothes and revealed her peerless body. Her skin was tender and pale, like a freshly peeled egg. Her limbs were slender and long. Her lips were red and her eyes were sharp, and she had long hair that extended to her waist. She entered the hot spring and enjoyed herself after shutting her eyes. Soon, her mood became better. She started to hum a song. But she did not know that Fang Yuan was lurking close by, observing her every movement. It is almost time. Fang Yuan's gaze was eerie as he calculated. He purposely leaked a trace of his aura. Who is there? Song Yishi's expression turned pale. She shouted as her eyes stared at Fang Yuan's hiding spot with much anger. Chapter 895. Happy about being chased down. Misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. Fang Yuan appeared like he was forced to. Seeing an old man like Xing Xiangzi appearing in front of her suddenly, Song Yishi immediately shrieked. Right now, she was relaxing in the hot spring, completely naked. It was naturally her most vulnerable moment, but if the one that appeared was a female, so be it. But it happened to be a male Gu immortal. There should be prudence between sexes. Song Yishi fell into panic. I can explain. All this is a big misunderstanding. Please, you must listen to my explanation. Fang Yuan waved his hand, speaking without stop. At this moment, Song Yishi's panic was already surpassed by an intense anger. Perverted thief, die. Song Yishi hid her body in the hot spring and pointed a finger at Fang Yuan. Immortal killer move, stream veil. There was an increase of water vapor in the air, 2 streams of water that were like long sleeves of dancing women, or like thin veils worn by beauties to cover their face, coiled around Fang Yuan from both sides. Fang Yuan's heart shook. Song Yishi was a water path Gu immortal. This stream veil was an immortal killer move, and it was an exceptional method to capture enemies. If Fang Yuan was struck by this move, it would be difficult for him to get free. Not daring to let this stream veil near him, Fang Yuan quickly retreated. Starlight shone around him, and star snakes moved in the air, facing the stream veil. Immortal killer move, star snake rope. Star snakes entangled the stream veil, but stream veil was like water, drowning the star snakes. In just few breaths of time, the star snakes vanished into nothingness. The stream veil moved towards Fang Yuan again. Star snake rope and stream veil are both capturing methods. I didn't think the gap between them would be so huge. Fang Yuan's heart sank. Fortunately, with this small delay, Starlight Immortal Gu in his immortal aperture was completely activated. Bright light shot out from the immortal Gu like a rising sun. Surrounding the Starlight Immortal Gu were countless Fire Path Mortal Gu, like tens of thousands of fireflies. Star Path Immortal Killer Move. Starfire Escape. Whoosh! Fang Yuan's whole body burned with deep blue flames, and he soared to the sky like lightning. Where are you going? Song Yishi yelled in a charming voice, as she used the killer move to obstruct Fang Yuan. Bam! A huge explosion erupted at top of underwater volcano. The seabed shook, torrents rose. The underwater volcano's top part was destroyed for the most part. The natural protective structure was broken, causing endless amounts of seawater to flow inside. Song Yishi was very busy for a while dealing with the flying rocks and the flowing seawater. She put up a defensive barrier and quickly wore her clothes. Her mind slightly calmed down. Then, without caring about the destruction of the volcano by the seawater, she started flying towards the direction Fang Yuan left in. You cannot escape. Song Yishi shouted with clenched teeth. Fang Yuan's speed, with Starfire Escape's help, was extremely fast, but because the water was extremely deep, it took a good while to fly out of the sea surface. In his previous life, the biography of Li Xiaoyao recorded that Li Xiaoyao fell to the bottom of the cliff and entered the undercurrent, which took him to the underwater volcano. The bottom of the volcano was too hot. Li Xiaoyao tried to get away from it by moving to the peak of the volcano, where he unexpectedly saw Song Yishi, who was bathing. Song Yishi immediately captured him, but after interrogating him, she was instead very pleased. She had not known there was an extremely hidden undercurrent in the underwater volcano. At this moment, the sea was besieged by strong enemies. Li Xiaoyao's appearance instead gave Song Yishi a hope to escape. Song Yishi used this undercurrent to be free from the predicament. While Li Xiaoyao's life had a great turn from here on, Song Yishi took him under her wing and guided him on Gu Master cultivation. The treatment Fang Yuan received was completely different from Li Xiaoyao's. Li Xiaoyao was a handsome young boy. Although I am an immortal and also have taken a good appearance, it is one where I am already in my 70s and 80s. Song Yishi is young, and Song Clan is also a colossal force. It would be strange if she did not get angry and chase me down. Fang Yuan sighed while secretly observing behind him. When he found Song Yishi was chasing him, he gave a light smile. Before charging out of the sea surface, Gu immortal Yao Gupai was one of Song Yishi's pursuers, and right now, he was lurking around the poetic emotion sea area that he looked young, was handsome and charming, and had rank 6 cultivation. He was a lone cultivator of Eastern Sea. Fairy Yishi will go bathe in the hot spring of the underwater volcano every once in a while. None of them know this secret. Only I am aware of it at present. I will take this chance to have more contact with Fairy Yishi. If I can marry her, would I still have to fear not having enough cultivation resources? What is going on? Yao Gupai gazed at the source of the sound and saw Fang Yuan flying out of the sea with a miserable appearance. A giant wave rose up in the calm sea. Looking at his appearance, he seems to be a thief. Do I chase him? Yao Gupai hesitated. Right at this time, Song Yishi also flew out of the sea surface and looked at Fang Yuan's receding figure in the air, shouting in anger, "Perverted thief! Don't run, die!" What perverted thief? Yao Gupai felt like he had been struck by a lightning. His eyes protruded out till they almost fell off. Perverted thief? What happened to Fairy Yishi? That old bastard is actually a daring lecher. Damn it, kill him. Yao Gupai roared inwardly, killing intent filling his heart. Fairy Yishi, don't worry. I, Yao Gupai, am here. The next moment, Yao Gupai shouted loudly, stepping forward. Song Yishi was dazed. Her original provoked and aggressive air also stilled. She had just attacked with anger and had not thought much when she shouted furiously. But with Yao Gupai's appearance, she could not help but feel panicked. Oh heavens, have mercy. She was still a young lady, and this was the first time she had experienced a situation like this. Regarding this matter, she naturally wanted to cover it tightly. It was best if she resolved everything herself, kill Fang Yuan, and no one else would know of this matter. If this matter were to be spread, how would she face others in future? However, another Gu immortal appeared now. She recognized this person. He was one of those hateful pursuers. His surname seemed to be Yao. Song Yishi was not too sure. Yao Gupai was even more distressed and anguished the moment he saw Song Yishi's panicked expression. He then observed Song Yishi's flushed face, red like she had just gone through intercourse. The killing intent inside him increased by dozens of times in an instant. Actually, nothing had happened, but the imagination of humans was endless. Moreover, Yao Gupai was a man and a crazed pursuer. He easily interpreted the expression in an entirely dark manner. Right now, Yao Gupai was thinking, this old pervert that is escaping with all his strength has definitely taken huge advantage of her. He might have used some dirty tricks to drug Fairy Yishi. He must have approached her. No, he likely kissed her and touched her. Who knows how much Fairy Yishi was encroached upon, how much humiliation she suffered. With such thoughts, the fury in Yao Gupai's heart burned so high that it seemed to ignite his whole body. He chased furiously while screaming, "You damned old bastard! Old lecher, don't run. You dare to desecrate our Fairy Yishi. I am going to skin you alive. I will make you regret everything you did to Fairy Yishi." When Song Yishi heard this furious scream, her whole body shook and she almost fell down from the air. Don't scream so loudly. Are you trying to let the whole world know? Isn't it best if we quietly, quickly, and secretly kill this damned geezer? Unfortunately, the furious Yao Gupai could not hear Song Yishi's thoughts, and this was the first time Song Yishi had encountered such a situation. So she lost her composure. She wanted to transmit her voice to say this to Yao Gupai, but she was too young and could not speak up no matter what. How embarrassing was it if she said it outright? Among these three, the happiest was instead Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had already calculated Song Yishi's reaction. Yao Gupai's appearance, however, was an unexpected surprise. Good, that's good, scream loudly. Yes, a bit louder. Fang Yuan inwardly cheered Yao Gupai. The two Gu immortals chasing absolutely would not be imagining the strange thoughts in Fang Yuan's mind at this moment. Fang Yuan wanted to blow the situation up into a huge matter. Song Yishi was a Gu immortal of a super force, Song clan. She was the apple of Song Chi Yuan's eye, with many pursuers. After this matter blows up, Fang Yuan would have an external pressure to join Zombie Alliance. However, this conflict was not from swindling money, murdering someone's parents, or a life and death battle that I team most. Fang Yuan had only taken a glance unintentionally. Song Yishur was a young girl with very few experiences. Her thoughts were still conservative, naturally. She would feel wronged and furious at having someone see her body for the first time. This was the natural mentality of young people. As they got older and more experienced, no matter who they were, they would gain at least some knowledge on sexual life. Oh, what if he took a glance? Didn't some women wish others would just keep on looking at them? From a certain perspective, did this not prove one's charm? 200 to 300 years later, Li Xiaoyao also peaked at, but nothing happened to him. Instead, he was protected and hidden. One big reason was that Song Yishur's mentality had already changed. Later, Li Xiaoyao would have another fortuitous encounter and become a sword path Gu immortal. And finally, he and Song Yishur would become an immortal couple. Wasn't Song Yishur older than Li Xiaoyao by 200 to 300 years? She could be said to be a cradle robber. Of course, there is another reason. 200 to 300 years later, Song Qiyuan's lifespan had been used up, and he died. The rank 8 Gu immortals' fall created an enormous change in Eastern Sea structure. Song clan began to weaken, and the enormous wealth Song Yishur had was coveted by others. Not only was there pressure from external sources, there was internal strife in the clan as well. Li Xiaoyao, who was taught by Song Yishur and accompanied her throughout his mortal Gu master stage and shared her sufferings, became the most reassuring individual to Song Yishur. Later, Li Xiaoyao inherited Sword Immortal Drunken Green Bull's inheritance and developed methods bringing in new advancements and became a powerful sword path Gu immortal. This caused Song Yishur to fall for him. The two became an immortal couple, moving around without a set destination, secretively and freely. In the 5 regions chaotic war, they appeared and worked together to resist rank 8 Gu immortals, becoming a great pillar in blocking Central Continent's offensive. Fang Yuan fled while thinking leisurely about all sorts of things.